We don't have enough time for everything, so we may have to do super long period readings. Actually, this is the awesome Nightfall of Saigyo's poetry from 12th century Japan, and this is William Lafleur translation. We continue with poem 406. It says, not a hint of shadow on the moon's face, but now a silhouette passes, not the cloud I take it for, but a flock of flying geese. I think he may have thought he saw a cloud, but then it was geese, or what happened? Not a hint of shadow on the moon's face, but now a silhouette passes, not the cloud I take it for, but a flock of flying geese. Next he says, 409, next to my own, it would be good to have another shadow cast here in the pool of moonlight, leaked into my hut of bamboo grass. What is he saying? He wants company? Next to my own, it would be good to have another shadow cast here in the pool of moonlight, leaked into my hut of bamboo grass.
Very beautiful. She longs for a friend. She wants to be with a friend.
Another shadow.
Shadow, eh?
Shadow, yeah, it's another
so
shadow.
Somebody else, there would be another shadow. Someone else's shadow. So she wants to be with somebody. It's a beautiful poem. I like to post that one too. Very good poems for you.
You want to post it on the hut with a post-it note, or use modern day things like Instagram? Next to my own, it would be good to have another shadow cast here in the pool of moonlight, leaked into my hut of bamboo grass. During a journey concerning the moon, the moon is constantly a theme here. He says, as always, the moon, night after night after night, will stay on here at this grass hut I put together, and now myself must leave. Do you think he's leaving in the abstract, or leaving physically, or?
He's moving from place to place. He doesn't say in one place. He stays for a while someplace.
During a journey. Okay, he's on a journey concerning the moon. He says, as always, the moon, night after night after night, will stay on here at this grass hut I put together. But now myself must leave. So he has to leave, but the moon's just going to keep staying. Seems it always is there. Next poem. With my mind made up to go to worship of Aki Shrine, I was in a place called Takatomi Cove, where I waited for a gale to subside. The moon filtered through the red roof of my hut. And he says in poem 456, pounding waves are breakers of my heart. So I spend the night in bed with the moon's light that slips in through the gaps in my reed hut's roof. Pounding waves are breakers of my heart, so I spend the night in bed with the moon's light that slips in through the gaps in my reed hut's roof. setting out on a pilgrimage and feeling profound sentiments with respect to an especially bright moon. 4:57. We would together make the journey, I on land and it in the sky. If the moon comes out to stay, empathy both ways. We would together make the journey, I on land and it in the sky.
Yeah, the moon will follow.
The moon comes out to stay, empathy both ways. Somehow the moon follows along. When you're traveling, the moon's...
The moon follows you everywhere. Did they tell you about when I was child, how the moon
followed you?
was always on top of our head? After we go to my mother and my aunt's house, to our house.
In the evening or at night?
At night, we had to just look up and see the moon would figure on our head and we would wonder how.
Seems how people traveled at night, didn't they?
Yeah, under the moonlight.
The moonlight's pretty bright if you think about it. If your eyes are sensitive. How sensitive can they get? Anyways, it says 4:60. Back in the capital, we gazed at the moon, calling our feelings deep, mere shallow diversions that here don't count at all. They thought it was deep when they're in the capital to gaze at the moon. It says, back in the capital, we gazed at the moon, calling our feelings deep, mere shallow diversions that here don't count at all. Morning, hearing the first geese, 4:62. He says, pushed along by wind, clouds layered along the peaks, diffuse at daybreak. Honking geese who've crossed the mountains open the fall. They open it up. Do they open up fall? They announce that it's fall. The honking geese. You've heard honking geese. Have you heard honking geese?
Yeah, I did.
There was this park up in Cuyahoga, up in Cleveland, by Anna, where the geese are constantly flying over and honking like crazy. The honk.
Yeah, many together when they do it.
They like to honk. It says, pushed along by wind, clouds layered along the peaks, diffuse at daybreak. Honking geese who've crossed the mountains open the fall. The voice of geese far and near. Here he says, wings already wet by the cold clouds he's entered. A gander calls out, yearning for his mate sitting here in a field just outside my gate. The gander is the goose, I guess. Next he says, lovers' rendezvous slowly ends with many vows to let nothing come between them. Then as he moves off, rising mist hide him from her. Rising mist is the just rising events and change.
No, rising mist.
It hides him from her.
Yeah.
The lovers' rendezvous slowly ends with many vows to let nothing come between them. Then as he moves off, rising mist hide him from her.
Yeah. They dance nicely and they movement with their head, signs, here to say vow.
They say goodbye and then they disappear. At a quiet place away from it all, on hearing a deer, he says, "No other is anywhere near this borrowed field shed, so this crying till daybreak must be a deer's, alone with all other things." Next he says, "A rice field, a hermitage, and a deer." All these together. Quiet mountain hut by a rice patch, till a deer's cry just outside startles me, and I move, so startling him, we astonish one another. He's startled by the deer, and then the deer is startled by him. Not surprising. Have you ever seen that effect?
Yeah. Something, you see something scary, and then the other side, they feel you feel scared, and you get scared.
Sometimes when you're trying to track an animal or something, but try to pretend like you don't see them. I don't know. But anyways, he says, quiet mountain hut by a rice patch, till a deer's cry just outside startles me and I move. So startling him, we astonish one another. This poem 482. Next, 540. It says, all roads disappeared under thickly fallen leaves, which buried my place completely out of season, locked in for winter already. Oh. All roads disappeared under thickly fallen leaves, which buried my place completely out of season, locked in for winter already. The leaves are covering the path, so he's locked into winter. With all those leaves. It couldn't be very easy to stay in a mountain hut in winter. I, for one, would go down to the city in the wintertime, wouldn't you?
No.
You would stay in the mountain?
No way.
No way. Then he says, someone who has learned how to manage life in loneliness. Would there were one more. Were there were one more. He could winter on this mountain with his hut right next to mine. He's suggesting if there was somebody, there's somebody who knows how to live in loneliness, but they can't not know how to live in loneliness. You can't bug him too much. They have to be someone who has learned how to manage life in loneliness. Would there were one more. He could winter in this mountain with his hut right next to mine. He's inviting somebody who's capable of living alone as a hardcore Buddhist monk in the woods. He said he would like it. We're reading about Saigyo and his living in the woods. He's kind of like he's like a monk, but he lives off on his own in the woods.